So today I'm cooking again another brisket. Surprise, surprise. So the trick of today is that I'm actually going to be cooking the brisket at a low and slow 225. So if you remember my first failed brisket, I tried to cook it at 225, but I ended up cooking it like at 350 or whatever and dried the heck out of my brisket. So today we're going to go back in time, travel back with me, and we're gonna redo this thing. We're gonna do it the right way. And by the end of it, I promise you, can't promise, I'm still a rookie, but I'm gonna try my best to make sure that this brisket is juicy by the time that it's rested and ready to cut. So the brisket is about 14 pounds untrimmed. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be about 11 to 12 pounds once I trim all the fat. So it's probably going to take about, I'm guessing, 16 to 18 hours to cook it. So currently it is about noon. I have not fired up the pit. I have not trimmed the brisket. I have not seasoned it yet. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to put the brisket on the grate by about 1 o'clock. So the plan is to basically cook it for about 9 to 10 hours to let the bark form at that low 225. And then basically at about 10 p.m. to 11, I'm going to wrap it up in butcher paper and then put it in the oven in my house, and then I'm going to sleep. Yeah, the plan is that when I wake up in the morning, the brisket will be done. I'll take it out, I'll put it in the cooler, let it rest, and then it'll be ready to cut in a few hours, right in time for lunch. I'm also having a friend over, so I'm hoping to get some footage of him and his take on how good the brisket is. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. I've talked enough and I am ready to trim and season this brisket. Let's go. One more thing before we get started on the brisket, I need to check my weight to see how my cut's going. So let's do it. Okay, so our beautiful brisket is trimmed and seasoned. So as you can see, I have a huge cut right here. That is because these are two separate briskets. Just like my other cook, I am doing another Brisket Jr. So while this one is cooking, I'll have this smaller one cooking right by it, and it should be ready in about 2 to 3 hours, and I'll be able to eat that as a midday snack. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the pit ready and throw this on once the pit has reached 225. So the brisket's on, and basically all that's left to do is wait for about 3.5 to 4 hours while the bark starts to set, and I just have to maintain the pit temperature at about 225. So with that being said, 3.5 hours is a long time. So the day is still young. It's about 1:30 right now, and I have a lot of things I want to do today. So I guess I'll just take y'all with me. So first thing I'm gonna do is, I am really hungry. I've only eaten breakfast so far. So I'm gonna make myself a really low calorie but filling lunch. So I'll take you guys with me and I'll show you guys what I'm gonna eat. And then the hope after that is to get a workout in and edit a video. So yeah, let's do it. So I ended up making myself some lunch, and I ended up making some breakfast wraps. So I was gonna show you guys how I make it, but it was like way too complicated, and my kitchen was like really dirty, and I didn't want my wife to kill me by posting our dirty kitchen online. But anyway, so yeah, here we go. These are the wraps. So inside of these are 1 cup of egg whites, 1 regular sized egg mixed with the egg whites. I went ahead and scrambled those with a light spray of the 0-calorie cooking spray. And then I have some turkey bacon in here that I air fried. So there's 3 pieces of turkey bacon in each one. And then I put some fat-free cream cheese on the inside of the wraps and put a thin layer of jelly on top of that. And then I put some Walden Farms syrup on top of the eggs. And I think that's pretty much it. So I will have the calories and the protein up on the screen, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into this. Oh yeah, also I have my drink here. So this is water with 0-calorie grape like flavoring. So anyway, I'm gonna try this. I'm really excited because I'm like starving. All right, let's try it. So as a kid, I was always a big fan of breakfast sandwiches. So what I would do all the time is my dad would make bacon in the morning. He'd make eggs and biscuits, and I would take the biscuit, put butter and jelly on the inside, put some egg, put some bacon, close up that biscuit, eat it. So good. That's what this reminds me of. So this is like a nostalgic treat, and it's also really good in terms of calories and protein. So. Wonderful. Okay, so that was a meal. Super satisfying. I feel fantastic. However, I feel full, so I need to wait for a little bit before I actually get my workout in. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and edit a video while I digest. And then I will come back once I'm ready for my workout, and I'll take you guys with me. Okay, so it's currently 3:25. It's going to be about another hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes until I need to start spraying the brisket and Brisket Jr. So I was editing videos, and my wife and my daughter just got home. So I'm actually going to spend the next couple hours hanging out with my daughter because her bedtime's like at 6. So I'm going to spend some time with her, and then once she goes to bed, I will probably, well, I'll keep you guys updated because basically in between the time I'm hanging out with her, I'm gonna have to bring her out, and we're gonna have to spray the brisket and probably wrap Brisket Jr. before she goes to sleep. So yeah, so I was able to get quite a bit of editing done, but still haven't finished the video. I really want to get this video out by the end of the day, but we will see because the night is still young. I'm gonna be up until at least midnight because I'm probably gonna put the brisket in the oven at 11. So that being said, I will see y'all on the flip. So it is currently 5 o'clock. So the brisket has been on for 3.5 hours. So I just checked it, and the brisket, the bark is starting to set, but it didn't seem like it was time to spray just yet. I'm gonna wait at least maybe 45 minutes to an hour before I spray the big brisket, but Brisket Jr. definitely needed some love. So I went ahead and spritzed that, and yeah, so I'll keep checking. I'll check again in 45 minutes to see if big brisket needs some spray, and maybe at that time Brisket Jr. will be ready to wrap. So until then, I am going to go back and hang out with my family, and then I will tune back in around 6 o'clock. Brisket update. So it is currently 9 p.m. The brisket has been on for about 7.5 hours. I've been spraying it every 45 minutes since about 4 p.m. And yeah, it's really coming along great. Fat's rendering, bark's forming. Everything looks good, and it looks like it's going to make our target time of 11:30 wrap. So what the heck is this out here? This is Brisket Jr. that you remember from the beginning. So Brisket Jr. was ready to go into the foil at about 5:30 p.m. So the way I knew that I was ready to wrap is basically the bark was totally set. The temperature was at about 160. So I just wrapped it up in foil and threw it back on the pit, and it took about 3.5 hours to get up to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit internal. So with that being said, I let it rest for like 10 minutes, but it's such a small piece of meat, I'm not gonna let it rest. Yeah, so without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and open this thing and show you guys what it looks like before I cut it. So, sorry, this is kind of tough because I only got one hand. I don't have a cameraman today, so let's see. Oh, the anticipation. Oh, it's very juicy. It's getting juice all over me. Okay. You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna put the camera down, open it up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so Brisket Jr. is here, live and in effect. Okay, I'm already intimidated because I think I put way too much seasoning on this little Brisket Jr. This thing looks like it's gonna be very salty, but who cares? You know, this is just like a little extra trimming. This would have been thrown away anyways, so might as well eat it. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this thing. I wish I could hold the camera while I cut it, but you know what, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna like stick it under my chin and then cut it at the same time. Oh.
Hope y'all can see that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Just put a knife in front of my face. Okay, this is not working.
Okay. Sorry I couldn't take you guys through the footage of me actually cutting it, but as you can see, Brisket Jr. is ready. Got a nice smoke ring on all these pieces. There's still, juice inside of it. A much better Brisket Jr. than my first one. Pretty nice, if I do say so myself. So again, I highly recommend if you're making a brisket, you have an uneven flat, go ahead and cut that thing off, make a smaller brisket, and then you have like a cool little snack on the side. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this thing, but I'm gonna flip the camera around. All right, so I got a piece of the Brisket Jr. here. I took this piece because it has like bark on the outside so I can get the full flavor. So let's try this. Oh man. It's funny, I make brisket like every week, and every time I like stuff my face with brisket, I'm like, I can't picture myself eating brisket for like a year. But man, as soon as the next week comes along, I get a taste of the brisket, I'm like, where have you been all my life? Yeah. It's actually not super salty for my taste. I think my wife is definitely gonna say it's too salty, but I'm half Filipino. And, we like salty meats. That's dang good. Man, I am excited for this brisket to be done. Or pop-up brisket, But, yeah, successful Brisket Jr. So, good sign for things to come. Hey. So, update. It's 9:45. I just sprayed the brisket once again. However, I have to run an errand. So, my wife, as kind and beautiful as she is, she made friends of ours some dinner, so I have to go over there and drop it off. However, I'm a bit nervous because last time I did something like this and left the Weber Smokey Mountain on its own, the pit temperatures went way out of control. So, I'm a little bit more experienced now, so I basically just shut down all the vents. It's easier to bring the temperature up than bring it down. So I basically kept the top vent like cracked just a little tiny bit. And then all the other ones at the bottom are shut down. So, our friends don't live that far away. So, I should be back within the next 25 minutes. So, we'll see how it goes. So, just got home, checked the pit, and it is at 226, 225. So, I can breathe easy. Brisket's doing great. I'm going to go ahead and spray it at about 10:30. And I'm hoping it'll be ready by the next time I have to spray it at 11:15, because I'm getting really tired. I really want to work out, but I'm so sleepy. I might end up just working out tomorrow, but we'll see. Hey, so it's midnight now, and I've been bamboozled. So the brisket is not ready to be wrapped yet. The bark isn't completely set. On top of that, it's temping at like 150. So I'm like 15 degrees away from where I'd want to be to absorb as much smoke flavor as I possibly can. And finally, when I touch the fat, it's fighting me back. So it's every time I touch it, it bounces right back. It's not sinking right through. So, I don't want to just wrap it, okay? I want a beautiful smoke ring. And I want to make sure that the fat is beautifully rendered so that when I bite into it, it's not rubbery and it just melts in my mouth, and it's just this beautiful combination of flavors. So with that being said, what I ended up doing was I opened up the top vent pretty much all the way. I'm going to try and cook this for the next 45 minutes at like 275. And I'm hoping that will help bring up the temperature and also be a high enough temperature that the fat will actually render. I probably should have done this like around 10. I really should have hiked it up to 250 to give the fat a little bit more time to render. But anyway, it is what it is. So I have the vents open right now. I'm trying to cook between 250, 275 now. And hopefully, I'll check it again at like 12:30. And then hopefully it'll be climbing up. And then I can finally wrap it by at least 1 or 1:30 and put it in the oven and then go to sleep. So long-winded way of saying we still in here. So catch you guys when I finally do wrap it, and I'll let you guys know what time it is when I do. So later. Hey, so it is currently 1:40. I temped the brisket at 1:30, and it was at about 160 in the flat in a couple of areas. So I put some of the beef fat that I rendered down on the last cook I filmed. I put some of that in the microwave to get it kind of loose and be able to spread it on the butcher paper. And then I cut out 2 pieces of butcher paper and lined them up next to each other so that I could wrap the brisket once I take it off of the smoker. So I'm going to go ahead and take basically I'm going to get everything set up, and then I'm going to wrap the brisket, and I will show you guys what the brisket actually looks like now that the bark has set. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will show you guys the brisket fully wrapped after that. So it'll be all wrapped up and ready to go. So there we go. I have my brisket all wrapped up in the butcher paper and on this cooking sheet. Sorry, I have to be quiet. My family's sleeping, and I do not want to wake up my wife or my daughter, for that matter. Anyway, yeah, so it's on this cookie sheet. So plan is I have the oven set for, whoa, the lighting got all wonky. Okay, got the oven set for 225. And basically the way I have it set up is I lowered the grates down to the bottom, kind of have them like sandwiched together. So I'm gonna put the pan on this one right here, so it's not on the very top, so I don't get a lot of the heat coming down. Hope this makes sense. I'm like really tired, but anyway, yeah, I put some foil there too because I put the beef fat on the wrapping paper, and my fear was that while I'm sleeping, again, this is just, I think it's unlikely to happen, but basically the fat overfills the pan and then it drips into the oven and like starts a fire or something. But yeah, it's just a safety precaution. But anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in the oven, and then yeah, I'm going to wake up. Right now it is currently 1:50, so I'll wake up at about, what time is it right now? Yeah, maybe 7 o'clock, and I'll see how it's doing, and hopefully it'll be ready, and then I can just rest it until it's time to cut. Hey. Okay, so it's morning. I woke up maybe 40 minutes ago. So there's a twist to the cook from yesterday. Basically, it was daylight savings time, which luckily I caught that before I went to sleep. So it's currently 8:50. So it's almost 9 o'clock. I checked the brisket at 8:10, which was about 5 hours and 20 minutes since I put the brisket inside of the oven. Yeah, it was in the flat, it was about 175, and some parts was like mid 180s. So I was like, okay. It seemed really juicy still though, because like when I put the probe in, like fat was just like popping out of it in the flat. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really good, but because it's like taking so long to cook, I went ahead and hiked up the temperature to 250. So it's been about 45 minutes since I did that. So what I'm going to do is check it, see if we're close. If we're not, I'm going to get some foil and wrap it around it to try to hyperdrive this cook. So I'm going to go check and see what it's at. Yeah, so just check the brisket. It was still at like 180, so I went ahead and just wrapped it up in foil, and I'm probably going to hike up the temperature to about like 265, maybe 275, just to get this thing up to temperature so we can rest it for a bit. Okay, so it's 10:30 in the morning. I finally was able to pull the brisket out of the oven, and it was temping around 202 to 205 in different areas of the flat. So I just temp the flat because if the flat is ready, the point is ready, and that is a Harry Soo black belt trick. So shout outs to Harry Soo for that one. Anyways, the brisket is looking gorgeous. Oh my gosh, this thing looks like a beautiful like meteorite or something. But yeah, it's just so jiggly, and the fat is just rendered down nicely. In my rush last night of being tired, and also because I didn't have glove liners, I was using mittens and then putting napkins on the mittens so I didn't get the mitten stained. And I accidentally put one of the wood chunks was actually in the oven this whole time. So basically while I was cooking it, I had to pick a different spot to probe it because I was hitting that wood block and I was like, what the heck is this like hard thing? I know there's no bones in this brisket. Anyway, yeah, so the brisket looked really good. So I ended up rewrapping it. My friend's coming over probably in the next 30 minutes to an hour. So I want it to be ready. So I rewrapped it to let it kind of cool down a little bit. And also because the paper was just soaked with, you know, fat and or rendered down fat. So I think it'll just be a lot better, and the bark will preserve a lot better because it's not like swimming around in its own soup. So anyways, I ended up putting it in a cooler with a bunch of, or with a towel in there, and I'm just gonna let it rest for an hour and it will be ready to cut. Okay, so the brisket is done. It has rested for about 3 hours and I'm ready to cut this thing. So I'm gonna try something different this time. I'm actually gonna try and separate the point from the flat and then cube up the point and then put sauce on it, put it in the oven at 300 for about 15 minutes, and then have like brisket burnt ends. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this thing. I'm really excited. So I'm just gonna slice it up and I'll show you guys what it looks like right after. Okay, the brisket is all cut up, so the flat is nicely sliced. Went a little crazy with the thickness of some of those, but it is what it is. And I cut some of the flat in like these little like sample pieces as well. So I actually have my friend Jorge here, so he's going to actually try it and let me know what he thinks while we wait for the point that's in the oven. So go ahead, take your pick.
I'm gonna pick this one.
Okay.
I've been eyeballing this one since the beginning. So here we go. It's extremely tender, very juicy. Has like a big piece of fat here. Not a big fan of fat, but it's delicious fat. So this is delicious.
Nice. So it passes the Jorge test. Hey. So I just pulled the burnt ends out of the oven and I'm going to give it a try and let you guys know what I think. All right, let's try a piece. So we got the nice, beautiful burnt end. Quick time, guys. Nice. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. This is barbecue. This is barbecue. My boys, this is barbecue. Oh my gosh, that is so good. The barbecue sauce on the burnt end, sweet with the savory fat, tender meat. Oh my gosh. Jorge and my wife are gonna love this. Excited to share this with them. All right, after that brisket, I have to give myself a round of applause. That was by far the best brisket I have ever made. What I was really impressed with was the way that I was able to use the skills that I have learned thus far in this short, 3-month period of cooking and using the smoker to basically adapt and just change things up. Last night I had to hike up the temperature because, it wasn't ready to wrap, or even before I sprayed it, we hit the 3.5 hour mark and I just looked at the bark and I was like, well, it's not set enough and it's not drying out enough to warrant spraying. And then, bringing it back into the house and, checking the flat temperature. It's like, okay, let's increase the oven, and then, let's take the butcher paper and wrap it in foil. It's just, there were so many different, there's so much knowledge that I've gained over the last 3 months that I knew how to adapt, and I knew how to fix the problems that I was facing. And that's what you got to do sometimes. Like, the brisket is not always going to cooperate with what you're trying to do, and you just got to show it who's boss. Like, think like the brisket is like in your like arm like that, like you have it in a chokehold, and it's not wanting to obey you, so you just have to be like, nah, like, I'm gonna increase the oven temperature, or I gotta, I'm gonna wrap you in foil. And then you could see it like at the end of the video, like when I was right about to cut the brisket, you could see just how like flat that brisket was. Like, it had no give to it at all. Like, it was completely defeated. It was just laying on the cutting board, like completely deflated. It looked like a deflated balloon just sitting there. Like, I knew it when I pulled it out. It was just so beautiful in black in color, and the smoke that was coming off of the bark, and man, it was just filling the house up. I was like, oh, this is going to be a banger as soon as I took it out of the wrap and out of the cooler. And it did not disappoint. That was by far, again, the best brisket I have ever made. I really, in this cook, the smoke flavor was there, but the smoke ring was not. And for me personally, like, it's not barbecue if it don't have a smoke ring. I know that sounds dumb, but there's an aesthetic like thing, in my opinion. It's a part of the art style of barbecue. Like, it has to have a smoke ring, and that brisket did not have a smoke ring. So that's what I'm going to try to develop. I was doing some research. I'm thinking maybe I need to spray it more often. Maybe instead of 45 minutes, do 30 minutes. But yeah, I'm going to keep trying. I'm trying to get my smoke ring game up to the Harry Soo level. Man, I'm telling you, every time that guy makes briskets, every single video, like, the smoke ring is like half of the dang brisket slice. So I'm trying to get up to that level. I'm trying to up my game to the Harry Soo level. But anyway, that was the video. Again, the goal of this channel is just to show you guys that you can make barbecue, you can be on a cut, and just enjoy life, So until next time, I will see you guys. So take care.